When it comes to the house every weekend.
What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name's Sam Clark and this is One Life. Today's tutorial is back on the Fiat Punto Grande. I'm going to show you guys how to remove the front section of the exhaust. I've already done a previous video on the back box, and since then a subscriber's messaged in and requested that I show him how to do the front part as it's fell off on his. So I'm going to show you the front section of pipe, so front to mid section from the bottom of the catalytic converter. If you need to change a cat or an exhaust manifold, let me know in the comments and I'll do a separate video on that. Today is just the front to mid section of the actual exhaust pipe. So without further ado, let's crack on. So guys, as you can see here, I've already jacked the car up. You can do one side or both sides. Do it at the front as we're doing the mid and front section, and you can slide right under the front of the car and get to the exhaust. I've just used the spare wheel jack and jacked it up with some bricks for a quick fix. If you've got axle stands, use them. They're really useful and they're a lot safer than a few bricks. Just be careful, make sure the car is not going to drop on you at any point. So let's have a look under. So as you can see, we've got a connection right here, which is going to be two very rusty nuts and bolts. I promise you they won't be easy. And that goes along to a small section of flexi pipe there. That just allows the exhaust pipe to move about with the vibrations from the car, leading on to another connection further down there, which is the one we're going to undo to pull this bit of pipe out. Now in case you're wondering, above this connection it goes, look up there, that's your catalytic converter, which leads up to the exhaust manifold which goes into the engine. So you can also take the catalytic converter out and the exhaust manifold out, but for the sake of this video, for the request, we're just showing you how to change this front section of pipe from there down to the middle section. Is a bit further down. We'll just have a look around there and show you that first before it starts work. So I'm now at the middle of the car. Take a look back where the line of the back of the door is, and this exhaust is already on the floor, as you can see, because I've had the back box off recently for another video and dropped it. And you've got a connection here for the back box, which you would have seen off previous videos, or we can undo it here on this middle section. We've got a twin clamp. You have to do one of them or take the whole clamp off if you so wish. This one's a bit rusty, so if yours was in that state and you're going to change the exhaust, take an extra tenner. I'd change the clamp as well, put a fresh one on. £10 from Euro Car Parts for this sort of size. So we're going to undo that, undo the one I've just shown you at the front underneath the catalytic converter, allowing us to take this section of pipe out. So I'll crack on with that in a second and show you guys how I get on. Everything's going to be a bit rusty. We might need a blowtorch as it all looks very corroded. So guys, first things first, as you can see now I've got the camera on the mid section clamp. So it's the clamp that's roughly sort of more towards the front of the car. The twin clamp that I showed you just a second ago, and I'm going to find a socket that fits it. It's got an 18mm socket, you can see that there, yep, and we're going to use that to undo one or both of these. I'm going to take the whole thing off because I'm hopefully put a fresh one on when next put it on. I think I might even have a fresh one inside the car. So we're going to get that on a ratchet. And just give it a little. Straight away I've got a problem as the socket is not deep enough for this thread, so it's catching the ratchet. One way you can do it is put it half on the ratchet, but then you risk it slipping, or use a deeper socket and or a spanner. It's not focusing, but the ratchet's only halfway into the socket. That's one way of avoiding having to go out and buy a new socket. If not, if you can't make that work, you will have to get a long socket or use a spanner. Problem is though, with it being so rusty, a spanner is not your best option. So that's loosened already, it wasn't too bad that, luckily. Just a bit fiddly with the camera under here. So I'm going to repeat the process on both nuts and undo them fully. Well, not fully, you don't have to take them fully off, just have to release the clamping off. So that one's now loose. And we can move on to the next one. So you now join me at the front of the car. I've got the clamp off, as mentioned earlier. Decided to take it fully off because, as you can see, it's a bit worse for wear. Certainly seen better days. So I think what we'll do with that is replace it for a new one when we put it back together. So the pipe will now dangle, as you can see. I don't know if you can see down there on the camera, it's a bit dark. The pipe's now dangling towards the ground on this flexi section here, which is fine. You could support it with a few bricks or something if you wanted to, just to keep it all level. It puts less stress on the flexi joint then. So the next thing you do is quite simply, it says simply, undo these two bolts here. So you've got, just move the light a bit so you can see, it's quite dark under here. So you've got 1 and 2. As you can see, they're very, very corroded, as expected. And they do have a nut on the back. So it's just a case of cracking that corrosion free. Now if you struggle with this bit and you do own a blowtorch, simply get the blowtorch and heat up the bolt, preferably at the back probably, as best you can, trying to get the bolt itself hot rather than the bits around it. Obviously you'll still get a bit around it, but try and get the bolt as much as you can. Get it as hot as you can, glowing most preferably, glowing red hot, and that will help crack it a lot, and then give it a good smack with the bar. And if you're using a ratchet, try not to whack it with anything because you'll break your ratchet before you undo the nut. So I'll leave the camera on now while I have a go at this. Like I say guys, it's not going to be easy because they get so much corrosion exhaust, but it will come off. Bit of persevering. And once you've got this clamp off, that is your front to mid section of exhaust completely off. It is as simple as that. It's just the clamp we took off earlier and this bit here, which connects directly to the bottom of your catalytic converter, as again I showed you earlier. So let's crack on with that. So like I'm finding here, you'll get the socket that's right. So for these, the actual bolts themselves, it's a 13mm socket. If I can get it to focus. It is a 13mm anyway, take my word for it. But you'll find when you first try and put it on the end of the nut bolt, it won't go on, and you'll think it's not the right size, it's too small, but it's not. It's just because there's that much rust around it. So if you have to, you know, give the bolt a bit of a wire brush or a scrape off first until you can get the socket comfortably on. My ratchet, so I'm just going to get a feel for how tight these are. They might crack the these, they might not budge at all. Right, so I would have just showed you a little clip of me messing about and sort of not achieving anything. So the problem I've got here, which is a good chance you guys might get, is that it's that corroded. It's basically, I've put the socket on it, tried to turn it, it's just rounded right round the stud. So I'm going to try a spanner on the back, on the actual nut. That's your next option. Get a spanner on the nut and try and crack that. If you can, crack the nut and undo it all the way. Now I can see straight away, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, that that thread is that corroded coming off the nut. Nothing's getting screwed across that. It's not even a thread anymore. It's sort of just a piece of rusty metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you down a bit, guys, on this video. I'm not going to be taking the rest of this off for this video, but I've showed you clearly how to, so you'll be able to manage it yourself at home. If you really need to do it for your car for an MOT or just a change of exhaust, then this is how you do it. Now, you might get to this point, think I can't get the studs off, I'm stuck. It's not the end of the world. What I would recommend doing is hiring, or if you might already have a little angle grinder, put a metal disc on it and cut through the bolt and the nut. That's knackered. Even if you can get it off, you're never putting that back on. So you just bit simply grind through both nuts and bolts, which will release this pipe, and then when you come to putting your new pipe back on or this pipe back on, whatever, you can just buy yourself a cheap set from B&Q, Home Base, Alfred's, loads of places like that will sell them, of basically just 2 nuts and bolts that are long enough to go through that section there and clamp these 2 bits back together. So I'm sorry you've not seen it actually come off, guys, but I hope it's still informative and helpful if you need to do this job. So just to recap, jack the car up. There'll be a middle clamp somewhere in the centre of the car, perhaps a bit towards the front. Again, I've already shown that, shown you where it is, shown it to coming off. That should come off fairly easily. And then once you've done that, come to the front of the car where I am now and have a mess with these. You might get lucky, you might get them off, they might not be that corroded. The majority of the time they are, because it's the exhaust, it gets very hot. It's also open to all the elements here, you know, all the spray off the road gets to it, so they rust up quick. But other than that, that's about it for this video. That is how to take the front section of exhaust off. If you want to know how to do the catalytic converter and or the exhaust manifold, let me know in the comments below, and of course I'll make another video as per usual. This was a requested video from a particular subscriber, so I'm sorry you've not seen it come off. If you do watch this, I hope this still helps and shows you how to do the job. Like I say, you might have to just get the grinder on these bits, grind them off, buy 2 new bolts, 2 new nuts, and then when you put the pipes back together, you can just slide your new nuts through and tighten them up. And it means that if you do have to take it off again in the future, they're not as corroded because the new bolts, so you've got half a chance. But yeah, that's about it from me, guys. As usual, if you've got any requests on any cars, let me know and I'll try my best to make it happen. And that's about it from me, guys. It's another One Life tutorial. If you're new to the channel, thanks for your support. Keep on watching the videos because they'll keep coming. If you're just watching for the first time and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and join the One Life family. Other than that, guys, that's it from me, and until next time.